Good morning, Jasia. How are you doing?
Good morning, sir. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, you look like you're in such a better place than I am. I'm so jealous. Are you on campus or are you
No,
at
I'm
home?
outside my house.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I we'll give folks a couple of minutes to trickle in, so we'll just uh sort of let things sit for just a few minutes, and then we'll see if other folks come in before we get. Oh, and there's one. So I guess that's a lie. We'll just go ahead and get started once they're in here. Good morning. How are we doing today? Good morning. All right. So let's get started. Today we are going to be doing another client communication exercise. So the task for today is to um, uh, figure out how to explain the duty that a property owner or an occupier owes to a trespasser, and to explain that duty in a way that is communicating to a client. Okay, so do you guys need a few minutes to figure out what to do, or do you feel like you're ready to move forward?
I wrote down something already.
Okay, you've done something already. Does anybody else have something ready for the tutorial question? Okay, so let's take a few minutes and spend some time to gather our thoughts. So let's uh, you can take that time, and we will reconvene in just a few minutes. Okay, so that'll that'll be fine. Just take your time to write the question, and we will reconvene shortly. So I'm going to mute myself so that I'm not disturbing you, but I'm still here. So reach out in the chat if you need anything. Okay, so let's reconvene. And again, right, so the task is to explain the duty owed to a trespasser to an unsophisticated client. So who would like to go first?
I can go.
Sorry, did someone come off mute? I didn't see.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Can you turn up your mic? I'm not.
Oh, hear me better now?
Yes, much better. So go ahead.
I wrote that generally the law says that an occupier, which would be someone who has control over the premises, enjoys use of the premises at the time of the incident, you do not owe trespassers. A trespasser would be someone who does not have who has not been expressly told or is not in play that they have permission to be on the property. You do not owe them a duty of care, meaning that you do not have a legal obligation to take care not to harm them. However, the law has developed in such a way that if you become aware of a trespasser on your property, you have a duty of common humanity, which means that you cannot intentionally harm them, like taking a gun and shooting them, or if they're dying, you would have to help them. You can't just leave them there. In the instance of a child, if the trespasser is a child, and there is an alarm on your property, meaning that anything that may attract the child to your premises, you need to take precautions to prevent that child from accessing your property to, or the alarm that will lead to a danger. And if there's nothing to attract the child on your property, but you know that the child usually frequents the area, you must take care that there's nothing to harm them or take steps to prohibit them from passing there.
Okay. So this is for those of you who may not have been able to hear, right? Basically, this was a very nice explanation of the duty owed to trespassers. The only thing that I can think of that I would suggest that we do differently is, how do you handle the client who says, I don't care about all of that, I just want to know what I need to do. What do I need to do to have fulfilled my duty? What do we say to that client, right? And this is not a criticism of what Shasi has offered. That was very nice. You walked through it very clearly. You explained the things that needed to be explained. That was very well done. But what do we say to the client who says, look, I don't care about all of this nonsense about how the duty evolves or whatnot. I just want to know what I have to do. What do I have to do?
You have to not.
Let's hear from someone else. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but the idea of the tutorial system is that everyone is participating, that it is not a dialogue between the professor and one student. So who can tell the client what they need to do? What do you mean by the common basics of safety, Faiza?
I'm saying maybe if there's something dangerous, you would have signs or not really make it a place so that children would be allured to come.
So posting things, putting up things to deter trespassers, warning of hidden dangers, right? These kinds of things. So does this sound like anything that we've talked about in the class?
Yes, it does, but I just can't put my finger on the exact.
Okay, can someone else help, Faiza?
Maybe the common duty of care.
Well, there is no duty of care owed to a trespasser, right? The duty is phrased differently. It's a duty of common humanity.
Sir, can I raise a hand?
Would it be when we spoke about warnings?
I'm sorry, say that again, Shikari.
Would it be when we spoke about warnings?
Well, what do you think?
I think yes.
I
think-
really, and this is not a criticism of Shikari or a criticism of any of you guys, but one thing that I have noticed at UE is that when I ask a question, a lot of times I get a question as an answer. And I really want to encourage you guys to be more confident in what you say, right? When you appear in court, when the judge asks you a question, if you go, well, Your Honor, or my lord, is it that this? The judge is going to go, well, I don't know. What do you think? So I really, Shikari, I think that you're onto something here with warnings. I just want to encourage you to be more confident about it. This is a space where we can be wrong together. And so it's important for you to sort of put yourself out there. So go ahead with what you were saying.
I was saying that it sounded similar to when we spoke about warnings in class.
Okay, in what way?
Well, we were saying, well, Faiza had said that placing signs and different warnings around the property is something that the occupier should do when they are, in response to the question, they ask what they should do. And when we were speaking about warnings, we were speaking about how warnings do not automatically absolve the occupier from liability.
Right. One of the things that can matter is, does the visitor see the warning, right? But does that matter for trespassers? This question is for anyone. And so.
No, sir.
I'm sorry?
I was saying no, it doesn't matter for trespassers to me.
Okay, why not?
Because they don't owe them a duty to warn them, because they aren't supposed to be on the property in the first place. So early, when you asked the question, what does it sound like? I'm not sure exactly what you're saying, but I was thinking of when you said you can't put a bear trap on your property, because that could cause harm to somebody.
Yeah, so the thing about warnings, right, is that they apply to lawful visitors and child trespassers. So if you have a situation where the child trespasser doctrine comes into play, whether it's an allurement or a known child trespasser, then there may be situations where warnings or deterrence become an important piece of the puzzle. But we did a whole lecture on how courts determine whether occupiers have fulfilled their duty to trespassers. Okay? There's a whole lecture on it. And I'm a little troubled that nobody seems to remember that lecture was given. So do you see now why I'm a little concerned? Because it sure seems like the information that I'm putting out there for you guys to acquire is not being connected to anything. And that troubles me, because you have to be able to see the whole and to identify the different pieces. So what can we do to help you make connections between the lectures and these questions? Because this is how you're going to be examined on the final, is you will be asked to address these kinds of issues. And you will not necessarily be given a lot of guidance on what issues need to be addressed. You'll have to be able to discern them. So what can we do to help you guys with this?
I'm not sure. I guess I just thought in this case a trespasser was less than I thought, because I thought all you have to do if you know a trespasser is on the land, if you see them dying, you have to help them. You cannot
No,
intentionally.
you are absolutely correct that this is the, that the cases sort of form in this pattern. But there's a whole series of questions that courts ask in determining what we need to be doing. I'm gonna so let me just answer the statement in the chat. Slides instead of just talking. I've said this before and I will say it again. I do not offer slide decks. There is no information that I would give you on a slide deck that is not contained in the lecture notes that you have access to. And so
Sir, that's not,
so a slide deck will not give you anything additional.
no, sir, that's well, some people can't, even if you read the course, what you call them that you just mentioned,
The lecture
worksheet.
notes.
Yeah, the lecture notes, the worksheet. I mean, that's one thing, but coming to class and actually you seeing something visual instead of just the constant, talking helps some people more than the others, because some people can listen, while some people seeing it might instill in class. And then when you go over, or even if you go over the worksheet before coming to class or after,
I am not
helps.
talking about the worksheets. I am talking about
The notes.
the lecture notes that are intended to replace a slide deck, and that is a visual resource that is available to you. You're essentially saying that the design elements of a slide deck are important to you, and what I'm telling you is that that is not something I'm going to be providing you.
Okay, but sir, I'm just saying that because you asked what would at this.
I understand, but I have been adamant from day one that slide decks are not on the menu here.
Well, sir, I don't know what else to say. I'm just saying what other people also suggested me, but have never said it to you. But that's just something that's generally used from lectures. So I'm just telling you, this is just a suggestion because you asked. I'm not enforcing it.
I appreciate the suggestion, but this has been my position from the very beginning that this is not a tool that I make use of, that it is not something that I'm prepared to offer. Okay. And I think you've known from day one that I don't necessarily operate the way that other lecturers in this faculty do. And sometimes that means that I'm doing things that are to your benefit, and sometimes I'm doing things that you would prefer that I didn't do, like not providing slide decks. But this is the game, right? So FISA's provided us here in the chat the questions that courts ask to determine whether an occupier has met the duty of care. And one of the things that I think is really important for clients who are asking the question, what do I need to do? Is to ask the question, is to go through this process with them and say, this is what the court's going to be looking for. Okay. So I want to be very clear about this. I am completely unconvinced that there is anything important that is given to you through the use of PowerPoint as opposed to any other delivery system. I understand the preference for a visual component, which is why you are provided with the lecture notes. That is an opportunity for you to have something in front of your face that helps you understand what you need to be, what you need to be taking down, and helps you organize your own note taking. But there is absolutely nothing that is given to you through the specific mechanism of slides that you aren't getting from anything else that I provide.
So question, the lecture notes you're talking about, is the lecture notes in the worksheet? That's what you're referring to?
No. The worksheet is a summary of the assigned reading. The lecture notes are on e-learning under lecture notes. So the idea is you have an assigned reading that comes from the textbook. Okay. From that, the worksheet distills some principles to help you cope with the fact that sometimes the book is not always very clear, and sometimes it kind of talks around some concepts. And so the worksheet gives you sort of a first cut at trying to eliminate things that are less important. The lecture notes help you to understand what are the things that I'm going to be talking about in the lecture. And all of these are provided to you as resources for you to draw on. And the lecture notes recapitulate exactly what I would do on a slide deck, minus all of the design elements. So I understand the preference. I do not indulge it. Here endeth the reading. So, Shasia, you've had your hand raised. Go ahead. I apologize.
It's okay. I was just saying, I honestly think it's a matter of us going over the lecture slides and the worksheets and stuff, because those questions I was reviewing, I think it was rewatching lectures, and I don't remember coming across the questions, but I think we just need to go over the information you have given us in more depth to be able to get it. It's probably just us who need to review, because that's how I personally get things, not being need to provide lectures.
And certainly, and look, you guys have been distracted for the last couple of weeks with con law, and I do not blame you for that. That's been a pretty heavy burden on you guys, and so I totally understand that, this course has not been your priority for the last couple of weeks. I get it. I'm not upset by it. And I appreciate the fact, and I want to be clear about this, I appreciate the fact that you guys feel comfortable telling me the things that you don't like about the course, right? Even if I tell you that I'm not going to be changing that aspect of the course, I appreciate the fact that you feel comfortable telling me that, okay? That I take that seriously, and I appreciate that, that honesty. So I have been a little abrupt with you this morning, and I apologize for that. So we've got 20 minutes left. Let's just take a second and think about what are the things that you guys need help with occupiers liability in particular, but I mean, anything in the course that is sort of bothering you is fair game. But in particular, because this tutorial is supposed to be about occupiers liability, let's focus in on that if you have any questions on that. Part of the problem is, by the way, regarding, this is the last thing that I'll say about the slide decks and visual learners. I am a whiteboard teacher in that I put things on the board as I lecture, and those also can serve to replace the slide decks. But the whiteboard in Zoom is so unwieldy that I find myself using it very, very little. So I don't know if in-person teaching would make that easier to deal with, but that is one thing that I have noticed is a significant difference between how I teach in the classroom versus how I teach on Zoom. So I think that might be something that would help, but I can't promise. So yeah. So, and unfortunately, the Zoom whiteboard is just, it's not great. So what questions do you guys have about occupiers liability? No questions? You feel clear on it? I can examine you on it and you're ready to go with it? That's a joke. You're, of course, you know, as you continue to revise, you can always come to me with questions. So let me reiterate again. I really appreciate Renice in particular for being like very, you know, for pushing the matter, and some other folks, Lasantha and other folks who made the point that they're not, that there are things that could be improved in the course, and I respect that. And there are things that there are improvements that I'm working on making, and there are things that I'm not working on making, but I appreciate the fact that you're willing to step up and say the things that you're dissatisfied with. Okay, that's appreciated even when it's rejected. Okay, so okay. Well, let's wrap things up a little early then, if we're okay on questions. Does anyone want to offer up the way that they would explain the trespasser's duty to the client for feedback and criticism? Not criticism, but comments. Is there anyone who wants to do that, since we've got time?
Sir, can you kindly repeat the last thing you said? I didn't get it.
Sure, I'm just offering you guys the opportunity to, if you want to, you know, put your answer to the tutorial question sort of in front of the group to get feedback on this is an opportunity to do it. If you want to email it to me, you're of course welcome to do that as well. I will send you a couple of sentences of feedback via email. So. No questions? Nobody wants to take me up on this? Okay. Well, then we're going to wrap this up, and I will see you guys next week. Again, I apologize for my abruptness on things. I think that I appreciate your candor with me, and I appreciate your patience with me. So we will be in touch, and we'll see you on Monday. So take care, guys, and bye.